let me tell you just really quickly about how this became a reality. And I guess when we talk about how things happen and how we really don't know how things come about, this is truly one of those stories that it just doesn't seem like it has any business happening. And part of that is the fact that Fiona Mutess has absolutely no business being one of the best chess players in the world. And the other part is that I had absolutely no business writing the story. It is truly a series of incredible coincidences that brought me to the story. 2 years ago, I was discussing my most recent book, which is about Roy Williams, the UNC basketball coach. And after the event, somebody who was in the audience came up to me and said, "I have a great story for you." Now, as a journalist, I hate to admit this, but as a journalist, you're somewhat skeptical when you hear those words. 999 times out of 1,000, that story has something to do with an Uncle Ned who caught a very large fish. And you nod and you say, "Thank you, that must have been a great day for Uncle Ned, but it's probably not going to be a future project." But one time out of 1,000, that story is about a 14-year-old girl in the slum in Uganda who has, through unbelievable happenstance, stumbled upon the game of chess. And with the help of a man who is as close to a saint as any man I've ever met, Robert Katende, that Rodney mentioned earlier, she has grown in the game and become one of the finest chess players in the world. The more I began to realize that this was true, the more I got excited about the possibility of going to meet her. I contacted a friend of mine at ESPN, the magazine, and I told him the story. And he said the same thing. He said, "Really?" And he said, if 90% of that story is true, I want you to get on a plane as soon as you can and go to Uganda. And I spent 4 or 5 days in Uganda with Fiona Mutess and Robert. And then Fiona and I got on a plane to go to Siberia, where she was going to play in her first chess Olympiad. You can only imagine what it's like for someone who has spent almost her entire life in a tiny little slum in Uganda to get on a plane. This was actually her second plane trip, but to get on a plane and fly to Siberia, I mean, I was freaked out about flying to Siberia. You can imagine what she was feeling through that whole thing. And so I got the chance to spend a lot of time with Fiona and just watch her experience the world. She'd never taken a shower, in a real shower before. She turned on the shower the first time. She turned the cold faucet on, stepped in, it was freezing cold. She thought, why in the world would anyone ever want to do this? And then somebody explained to her there is also a hot faucet that you can turn and regulate the temperature. So seeing things like that is absolutely astounding for any American to be placed in that position and see someone discover the modern world through her eyes. So I went back to Uganda this summer, in the summer of 2011, and spent 3 more weeks with Fiona and Robert. We would laugh every day about the list of interviews that I asked Robert to arrange for us, including the president of Uganda. And he somehow managed to arrange these 35 interviews that I had asked him to arrange over a period of 3 weeks. Arranging interviews with people in the slum, you don't call them up on the phone and say, "All right, meet me at the coffee shop at 2. You say, you search the slum for them by asking different people where this person might be, and eventually you stumble upon them and you do the interview. It was amazing to me. Probably the most striking part of the whole experience was the difference in Fiona from September of 2010 to September of 2011. She had grown from a little girl into a young woman, and she was so much more mature, so much more comfortable around me, around all of the people around her. She has become, in a sense, in my view, the den mother of this entire chess project. When you see the little kids come in for a day of chess, and Fiona doesn't go straight to the boards like some of the boys do. Fiona, her first thing she does is she goes to the little children, the littlest kids inside the program and says, do you know how to play the game if she hasn't seen them before? Let me sit down and teach you. She is just someone who has the most caring heart. So 2 years from the time that I first heard, I have a great story for you, to today, I can take absolutely no credit for it. It's almost like the story has driven itself from that day one to all the different things that had to happen for it to work. And it's really just a story of this one remarkable girl, the support group of other kids around her that is equally inspiring, and then this gentleman, Robert Katende, who is the reason that they're all there. It's the reason they all have hope. I'm thrilled on this particular day because after years, 2 years now, of being the only one connected to the story, now it's a story for the rest of the world to share.